What is up, guys? You got NotTheWorst here, bringing another Black Desert online video, and today we are taking a look at how to make Crescent rings out of Yona Fragments. This was actually originally what the Yona Fragments were introduced for, being able to craft Valencian accessories, and in the earlier stages, Bazzi belts were actually a bit more profitable than Crescent rings, but that's no longer the case now. I also realize most people are familiar with crafting it for Kaposha accessories, trying to build up some gear for a little bit cheaper than enhancing Tri accessories, and the more I had talked about the Wargon's video and getting Yona Fragments and how I was pricing them out, there was a lot of questions about making Crescent rings, and everybody was kind of like, wow, not everybody, but in general, mostly console players were wondering how that's done, so we're going to cover it here. So first up, if you're not familiar already though, if you've made Kaposha earrings, or rings or whatever you need the knowledge in order to melt accessories for Yona Fragments. Gold accessories can be melted for it. So the knowledge you get from this Asadilla person right here out in Valencia. So you just need to trek out over there, talk to them. You can grab the knowledge from them first up, and then after that, you can heat the accessories. Your processing mastery has no weight on it. It doesn't matter whatsoever. Different items will net you different amounts. So for instance, centaur belts can get you, of the items that are worth melting, obviously you don't want to melt like a Bazzi belt. That's going to be worth way more than actually melting it into Yona Fragments. But things like centaur's belt are 5 to 7 Yona Fragments, so you want to average that one around 6. For what you're going to get. These Cadre rings, for instance, here can do 3 to 5. You saw the beginning of the video there. The first two I just did were 5 each. It's 3 to 5, so you're going to expect an average of 4. Serap's necklace are the same for that as well. And another popular one is the Ronaros ring, which is going to get you 2 to 4, so an average of 3 on that one. So first up, knowing that, we got pretty lucky here. We netted 15 Yona Fragments here, which was exactly how many we're going to need to do this. I had a few extra as backup. But the reason you're going to want to do this to start with is if you take a look at your Ring of Crescent Guardian, you want to see the price for this. This is what you want to dictate your price at. So we're at 59.5 right now. Let's just make the math a little easier for this half a second, be at 60. These were actually up to like 68 the other day, which was kind of insane. So if we take our 60 mil and it takes 15 Yona Fragments to create a Crescent ring, which I'll show you in just a minute. So we're going to divide that. So our Yona Fragments are currently valued at about 4 mil each, since it does cost 15. There's a few incidental items, but they're pretty negligible in cost, and we'll jump into that in just a second. So each of these that we get, we expect to get about 4 mil. So since we had 15 of those on it, it gets 60 mil from there. Obviously, that's obviously going to come out much cheaper than just outright buying them, since the cost of the items themselves is cheaper than that. If we take a look at those Cadre rings, I did pick these up the other day to make this video, and I got them at 11.5. They might be a little more now. Okay, so they're 12.7. I did actually manage to get 11.5, but at 12.7 times 3, we paid 38.1 mil for that, and we're going to sell this for 60 mil. Of course, there is a market tax as well, so if we take a look at that, we're going to get 51 mil out of this, and only paying 38 mil with a little bit of cost on some other items, although I actually have them. So let's take a look at what those are and how you're going to set those up first. So first up, you're going to need a level 5 jeweler out of Altanova in order to craft these. You have a couple of options for it. I believe this one can do it down here, or the 5 over here can do it as well. But the one that there's a few options you can look around if you want to. The one I use personally and have used for a very, very long time since these came out is this guy right here, Altanova 4-5. So you can get this leveled up to level 5 jeweler. And when you go all the way down, you can see here at level 5 jeweler, you can craft Crescent rings, Cadre rings, Seraps, Sissels, Bazzi, and Centaur. Now, all of these require some amount of Yona Fragments, and as you can see, crafting something like a Sissels necklace with 17 Yona Fragments is a ridiculous, terrible use of doing it. Bazzi belts are roughly around the same price as Crescents, sometimes a bit worse, or a bit lower in price rather, but it's worse to create these because it takes 20 Yona Fragments. Crescent rings only take 15. This is where we're getting that number, dividing the 60 mil by 15, getting our Yona Fragment cost at 4. Now, melted platinum shards you will need as well, 10 of those. You're also going to need 10 Trace of Chaos and 20 Blackstone powder as well. You can buy these off the market. Blackstone powder is obviously very easy to come by. Melted platinum shards are very easy to get, or you can melt platinum ore. Personally, I just have always had, since these came out, a worker just running a spot here to get platinum ore, so if I need to make the melted stuff out of it, I can there. And I also keep a worker on this node here, which gets me the Trace of Chaos. It also gives me Trace of Earth, because back in the day when Bazzi belts were worthwhile, the trace you need for that one was actually Trace of the Earth. So this node right here was really handy to get both of those. Again, you don't have to do that if you've got a worker set up already, since you can just buy them for not very much on the market. I just like to keep them handy. So from there, we're just going to go ahead and get all the ingredients into our storage here, which you have. I had 6 previously, so we have 21 total, so it's going to use 15. So now that we've got everything in there, I've got my Trace of Chaos, I got Blackstone Powder, we're all set to go. You can see I've got 2,000 Trace of Chaos chilling right there, so we're not going to have an issue with running out of those. We're just going to click on it, go to our level 5 jeweler, and then manage crafting, head all the way down. You can see it's highlighted now that we have all the ingredients in there, including that Yona fragment. Click on that. I got an artisan goblin ready to go, and he's going to start that. So in about 30 minutes from now, he's going to finish this, and then we'll be sitting right there in my storage. Right in here is going to be a fresh Crescent ring that I can sell, and there we go. We get a whole lot more profit out of just using those Yonas into Kaposha or letting them sit. So if you have any of those spare ones laying around, or things you use maybe after crafting Kaposhas, definitely recommend turning those into Crescent rings. Obviously your mileage is going to vary with how much they're worth based on your server price of those Crescent rings. A Yona Fragments is going to be worth 1/15 of a Crescent ring. Just depends on your price for it, so you may not be making as much for that. You can, however, go ahead and gamble a little bit with your items that you're melting. So if you want to, let's check the price on syrups while we're just talking about it. These are a little more expensive here, so you want to go for the Kadri rings over those. You could go for the Centaur belt since they yield more, but let's say you wanted to go ahead and gamble for it. You need 15 Yona fragments total for this, and remember, you could get the chance that each of them melts for 5. How you want to factor it is that a Kadri ring is worth 4, since the average is going to be 4, melting 3 to 5. So that's typically what you would do. So if you need 4 of these rings, if you got 4 on each of them for it, and you paid 12.7, let's say, you're going to be paying 50 mil on it. So this is not going to be coming out too far ahead after tax on what you would be getting. Now, you can also end up in a position where you end up needing 5 of those rings at 12.7. Now you're going to be at 63.5, and it's going to cost you more than what the Crescent ring is worth in general. So be careful with that. Overall, it's more so going to be nicely if you can do like these people are. They're throwing orders in lower, or like I said, keep an eye on it. I picked up those 3 rings last night for 11.7, which was obviously much better. And if you're just grinding in Valencia in general, or doing Wargons, Elites, or something like that, where you yield a lot of Yona fragments, you can just throw those in and get a little bit more money out of them than them just sitting around doing nothing. So that's going to be it for this video. Be sure to like it if you did enjoy it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you get notifications when new videos do go live. And if you want to catch me playing live, there's a link to my Twitch page in the description down below. You can head over there and drop a follow, so you'll get notifications for that as well. With that said, that's going to be it for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.